I'm Paul. Today we're talking to Aidan, who's been a client of ours for quite some time, and I'm pretty excited about this conversation because we get to talk about AI and how something we wanted to do for many years but have never been able to do, but now with the advancements in AI and technology, we're able to do it for the first time. So maybe we could start, Aidan, if you could tell us a little about your history and what is it you do?
Yeah, sure. By way of background, I'm actually, I used to do coding and was in technology, but I'm now in strategy and facilitation. So essentially for us, that's the intersection between, having the right answer, which is more a consulting model, and facilitation is more about how do we get everyone to agree and understand that so you can make it happen. And so my job is very much about how do we get the right answers and get everyone to agree to actually make it happen. And I work with a boutique strategy facilitation firm. We work with all sorts of clients across government, not-for-profits, and the commercial sector. And I've been doing that for the last 10 years. And I've been working with you for quite a while, and really around using technology to underpin it, because technology is a tool, and like all good tools, how do I leverage it to produce great outcomes for clients? So that's pretty much my background.
Well, could you tell us a little bit more context about that strategy and about what it is you do?
Yeah, so for us, strategy, there's three pieces, which is foresight. You've got to go and get information and be able to package or understand things. Insight is actually making the decision, and action is you've got to then deliver or do something with it. And so we've worked with you previously around building a platform to produce a strategy execution. Often, if you think about it, great ideas or great thinking not getting done is a real problem. And so there's a lot of task management tools, but that's not strategic management. Delivering a task does not mean you did strategy well. So we work with you to build, essentially a strategy execution platform that allowed you to track not just tasks, but here's the strategy progressing. And so that's been, our business is around how do we make sure that whole chain works for clients.
I don't know, we've talked at length over the years about some cool things we could do with the Strategy Connect platform you were talking about.
Yep.
But it turns out when a better opportunity came along, why don't you talk to us a little about that?
Yeah, sure. A lot of my work is what does the future hold, and AI has been very exciting because there's lots of things that happen, but AI is definitely changing the world operates. And so I came along and I said, well, this is interesting. The question is, how do we apply this to what we do? Specialists in bringing people together, have conversations in the foresight, insight, and action space. How do we leverage this tool? And it's interesting. We kind of I see this. There's two halves. One is, how do you, productivity. I can do what I do today. I can just do it more efficiently. And that's like, well, can I edit this document faster? Can I handle this call cheaper? That's productivity, and AI definitely helps there. The piece that we've been really focusing on is how do I do things that were not possible? How do I do things that, because of AI and this new tool, change the paradigm? It's a bit like when electricity came. No one thought about all the things you could do. It was like, well, how do I make my horse more efficient, or I can automatically feed it, right? So we've kind of played with this, how do we do the other end of do stuff? And so the tool you're referring to is Engage Plus. We went, well, we can actually, for us, the limit is how do you bring everyone together, have a conversation that's meaningful? And there's a limit to physically co-locating people. And even doing it virtually, there's a limit to that, because you can't hold a conversation with 1,000 people sensibly. But AI allows you to have 1,000 sensible conversations and understand them. And so we went and said, well, we can leverage AI to have scaled conversations and still get the level of meaning, right? So a survey enables you to understand what somebody thinks, but you're dictating the questions. Do you like candidate A or candidate B? It turns out they don't like either candidate. They'll answer your question and you'll have information, but it's not valuable. Whereas a conversation with somebody allows you to go, what do you think about this? And they will answer that question to the level they want and what that truly is meaningful to them. And you can then extract meaning from that. But you're limited by how many conversations you can have. Well, AI enables you to have 1,000 conversations and actually extract the meaning. And so we went, well, we can do what we do, but scale that.
That's incredibly powerful, incredibly cool, but maybe give us a little bit more context of how that actually works. Like, give us a real world example, because that's quite difficult for a lot of people to grasp exactly what's happening.
Sure. So we worked with, again, the same context, right? We worked with a school to talk to them about what is it that's meaningful for not just, the parents or the students, but the whole community, like everybody who's involved in the school, to actually understand what does it truly mean for you to actually have great outcomes for students. And rather than just going, well, give us a survey and can we mine words, etc. We actually got AI to have an engaged conversation with that community, with the parents, with the students, etc. And it enabled us to capture all the conversations and actually understand in depth what people meant and why.
So how do you actually create the agents on the platform?
Tactically, the first thing is understanding client, what you're trying to achieve is critical. But then the piece in the platform is, once you've gone, well, this is how we're trying to direct it, you then create in the platform you direct the agent or LLM to go, how do I solve this problem? And then you start to craft, this is how we're working to actually interact. And you're essentially coaching someone how to set rules of, this is how we're expecting you to behave. And then you've got guidelines and rails and then some testing to make sure it works. But you create that agent, and then you're able to share that agent out to multiple people, right? Essentially, whoever you're trying to reach and have the conversation with. And then once it's done that, it's actually, each time there's a conversation, it collates all those conversations, captures those centrally, and then you're taking all that information and then mining it. So various processes, so handing it over to an LLM to actually go make of this total content. Similarly, can you go and synthesize pieces of this? And then there's other various machine learning techniques to kind of cut through and analyze data. But the whole goal is, you've got a pile of information, how do you make sense of it and actually extract meaning? And again, depending how you structured the agent and its interactions will dictate how you're pulling that information back.
So I think it was a little bit like ChatGPT in reverse, because normally you're asking GPT questions and it's giving you answers, but with this agent, it's the one directing the conversation and asking the questions to the users, and then it's collecting all of the information and collating it.
Yeah, and a little bit of both, right? Like, so it's interesting, we've done one where it's actually co-creating alongside, because LLMs are really good at ideating. So it's like, well, can you tell us what you think? And then it's also like, well, can I share some stuff? And it's actually co-creating with the person. But the goal there is like, well, we want to understand what a possible set of things are. And it's like, well, that's a great way to do it, because we can co-create a possible set of ideas, and both the people and the agent are doing it. But the goal is to, like I said, it depends on at the front what you're trying to achieve. So for the school, it was, how do we know that we're actually done a good job at the end? What does that look like for you? And so it's directing conversation. Well, how does that feel? What does that look like? How will we know? And so you're actually having conversation, but you're directing an agent to meaningfully engage with a person.
Did you get any weird answers or strange answers?
Yes. I mean, like you had people who were playing, can you play Hangman with me? And because they're like, this is a tool, like it's early days, like, can I break this? So there was absolutely that stuff going on. And the guardrails completely handle that. But we definitely had weird stuff, and like, can you do my homework for me? And
so you create these consensuses that you want to get a general consensus of what people are talking about. And then you invite people to come and collaborate on this platform, and they have a conversation with the AI, and you capture all these conversations.
Yep.
And then how do you get what the consensus is, or what the agreement is?
So as I said, the simple answer is that we hand that, and we work with AI to actually extract from that the conversation. So again, it's about using the features of LLMs or AI to go, can you help me unpack and digest and synthesize this work into something meaningful?
And have you any learnings from this exercise?
Oh, I haven't actually. I mean, tactically, there's nothing big. Tactically, you want to, people aren't still very familiar with this yet. It's still fairly new, so there's a bit of tactical, like, how do you message and take it to people? Because it's still early. Like, there's always an adoption curve, and so I'm finding we're earlier on that. But no, I haven't really. Yeah, I haven't gone back and done a lot of post analysis on it yet.
So you take all of these insights that the platform surfaces up and feed them back into the strategy piece to get better insight.
Yeah, so the reason, and so for us, Engage Plus is a component within the Foresight, right? So for you to understand how to set strategy for your organization in the future, well, one of the key things is, what do our stakeholders or suppliers or other entities that are related that influence us think? And so there's lots of places to get information. One is, reports, or there's all sorts of pre-done. But this is actually a case, in this case, it was, well, as a school, we can't move without our community. But similarly, it could be, if you're in a heavily, if you're in a business that has a supply chain dependencies, actually having conversation with your suppliers to understand their views and what they're thinking will help shape what you think the world will be, because you're downstream of that anyway.
So It's very cool. So you've got these ideas, and this is the foresight stage.
Yep.
What are you thinking for the next stages? Is there ideas?
Yeah. So
ideas?
exactly the same thing. I mean, the view has always been AI as a tool, and then how do I leverage the tool best? So we're playing with already. When we do insights, can we just have AI sitting alongside as an actor, as part of the discussion with people? Because having someone or something smart checking your work and working with you doesn't mean you have to accept what it says, but it means you've actually got an insight to go, well, does this make sense? And someone else is sense checking this. You then can prompt that into a conversation with the people so they engage from a facilitator perspective. So we're using it that way. And we're also seeing, as you said, like the strategy execution is kind of where we started this conversation with. We now can do the things that I'd wanted to do for a long time, which was, it's one thing to track tasks. Strategy execution is not about tasks. Tasks are necessary, but it's not the goal. The question is what you did helpful? And is the velocity, meaning are we getting enough done? And is the direction that we're going valid? And AI is actually enabling you to streamline the productivity of, well, did something happen? Because if nothing happened, velocity 0. But then the bigger question is, once you're moving, is it directionally correct? Because strategy is not about moving, it's about moving in the right direction, right? And so AI can, again, make sense and actually help people make better decisions. And so, you can check, is this work valid? Is this actually good? And then you can also still use the productivity to drive, well, is this actually going to get it moving? How is it going? One of the ways I've been thinking about it is it's almost like every single person having a strategy coach sitting alongside you. How's that work going? By the way, do you want me to kind of critique and work with you to make better decisions, not just on did you get it done, but is this clever work? Does it reflect back into the strategy? Yeah.
I think that's incredible. People are using AI to help themselves get more efficient. Businesses are using AI to be more efficient, but this is a great example of using AI to do something that's never been possible before.
Yeah, and again, for us, it's all very much driven out of we view the world at the end of the day, it's like having the right answer, but not having everyone there with you to actually make it happen. It doesn't go very fast. So we're in the business of how do we get everyone to understand and agree. So exactly that. At scale, you can now understand and make things drive and work, right? So the strategy execution is like, well, yes, you want to distribute work, but you also need it to line up because otherwise it's just chaos.
And is anybody else doing this?
I mean, the simple answer is probably, but like, not that I've seen, right? So, I mean, yeah, and what I'm seeing a lot of is a lot of people playing productivity, but I still think that there's this whole other world of things that were never possible that you can do. That's where the game's at for me, is that whole world of, yes, you can be more efficient doing the same thing, but you can reinvent and do it so much more efficiently now. That's the part that's exciting.
I think at this moment, any businesses thinking the way you are more likely to succeed than the businesses who are stuck in what they're used to do in the past.
Well, I mean, there's a business somewhere that went, oh, we just need to get better at whipping horses. And and they didn't get on the whole mechanization process. That you just don't know about it because they just went out of business. There's this a paradigm shift. It's like, oh, we're going to keep burning coal and use steam. I guarantee you there was people who went down that path. But this is a game changer. It's like, if you aren't reinventing and thinking about this as, how do I do this and how do I leverage this tool to change the way that we work, you're probably not going to be winning the race in the next 10 years because it's going to change. In my view, it is a tool, but the question is, it's a tool that fundamentally shifts how value can be produced.
Yes. And the people who are using this, what's the feedback been like?
I mean, it's great. People are able to say we meaningfully actually engaged with everybody. Like for that school, they were able to go, we can tell you and we can show you what you said and how it is affecting what we're doing and meaningfully means strategy. And similarly, we have other clients where they're actually able to get better insights from people than they could otherwise. And that helps inform better decisions.
Okay, thank you for sharing those great thoughts. And we're looking forward to working on some more great technology and great applications in the future. As the Insights video, while we work with our clients, stay tuned for more.